Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Grumpy Old Railroader and the Caney Creek Railroad. We're up at the coal mine, and it is a very exciting day for me. I have connected track all the way up to the coal mine now, and we've got some interesting operational, uh, I guess, tricks or whatever that we're using to get up here. So, anyway, hopefully, all that's going to work out well. You'll notice over to the left there, we have a servicing area, and we have a siding track set up for the firewood depot. And first thing we're going to do is bring a train load of cordwood up here so we can get that thing stocked up, because this place, this destination is so far from the other points on the railroad that we want to get firewood up here. We're also going to be putting a siding in down at the Summit River Smelter. Anyway, my buddy AC is on board the engine here. This is the Eureka, and I named it Christy. The Both the Eureka and the Betsy here we humped them over the incline that I've shown on previous videos. Anyway, we're going to start our way down. So the main impetus today is to show off my track work coming up the Summit River, and also we're going to be working on setting up firewood depots with sidings and everything. And then hopefully we'll be able to bring the actual first revenue train up here and sell some beams and some rail. So that's the goal, and hopefully we're going to stay at it until we get it done. So at this point, AC, take it away. Take us down.
Here we go.
Ooh, yeah. Blow down those cylinders before we blow one out. That's not really implemented in the game, but yeah, that's the cylinder cocks, and that's how when they start off an engine, you always see that business, because the water could condensate in the cylinders, and since water does not compress like steam does, um, when the when the piston closes on it, if there's water in there, it will blow the end of the cylinder out. Anyway, we're starting down here. There's one point on the track that I want to check. You might want to put the brake on the tender in case the tender comes loose. Just put some handbrake on the tender. Maybe
Right.
might make it a little easier if we have to re-rail it. Okay, since we got one viewer, I guess that's you, Pruto.
No, it's probably me.
Well, I see you guys both are on the viewer list, but it only says I have one viewer. I don't know how often those stats uh, refresh on my stream here. So,
Yeah, they're a little janky, but hey.
but yeah, my buddy Krim helped me get my OBS software set up, so that was really great of him to help me with that a little bit. I'm still learning the ins and outs of all that. I really like this little spot, the way this little bit of trestles here in this kind of gulch. And, they kind of have a path over there where you could avoid this trestle, but the turn would be so damn sharp. But I decided, I'm not going to do that. So it just turned out to, because I didn't want to have a really sharp curve there, that I think that trestle turned out to be a really nice feature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not there yet, but anyway, I'll show you when we get on around. We're making a huge. If you look up at the, yeah, you see we're way back in that little canyon there. You see the arrow. So we're just following the path that the developers kind of laid out on this map for running tracks. So we're trying to, do everything as prototypically as possible. Um, so I don't have tons of crazy um, trestle. I say that, and there's some crazy trestle right there. That's just the that's coming. That's the 10% grade coming down from the incline that I used to hump the Betsy and then the Eureka over here. So
I'm
um,
actually surprised it held out when we brought it down.
yeah, that's right. It was it was a little scary when I put Betsy on there the first time. We went through that track section no problem, and I missed it completely. I thought I'd set a marker, but oh, I did set a marker. But last night we had a little faux pas, and yeah, I couldn't save. Yeah, so that's what happened. The marker's not there. So I guess I'll have to find that little track section the hard way if it causes a problem again. I think it may have been because we were hauling pretty fast through the turn up there, and we had to brake on the tender. Maybe. I mean, pretty much I don't have any problem with track work, so. But I did notice there was a little bit of a kink in the curve there that, I either missed or because I usually just keep on taking curves out and putting them back in till they're good. I need to kill some more trees along here. Anyway, so now we've worked our way down to the river, and if we look back, you can see that's the coal tipper there. I've cut down enough trees where you can see it now, off in the distance. And you see we went all the way back into that cul-de-sac there, and then came back around to the tipper there, or to the, as you go up in there. So we're following the contours of the land as best I can. And I've tried to use, what would be appropriate. So when you get to the point where fill would be more appropriate than a trestle, then I change over to fill. And then here, where the curve of the river would be slamming against the fill or trestle or whatever, I put in the stonework. Got to fiddle with the alignment of the stonework here, but I'll clean that up. You can relay your road bed and snap it right centered on your track now. So anyway, we were coming down at like a 2.5% grade, and this little bit here, I was just following the contours of the land, and I realized, I could straighten that out, but I decided to leave it. I kind of like it. So what the heck. We're not in any kind of mad rush hurry when we come down, so it's not going to cause a problem. I did straighten out the bends in the river where I could, so that's prototypical of the a real 19th century railroad would run a straight line if they could. So anyway, this section of track flattens out. I think it comes down to about a half a percent down, and then it kind of flattens out. I use trestle right there because there's a gulch there, and of course, a real railroad would want to have some. Now this needs to be replaced here. This trestle's too low. I usually run trestle to lay out my preliminary alignments. So, and again, I need to come back and relay this road bed here so that it's centered under the track work. I've done that. Now you can see here, this road bed is perfectly centered on the track work. So I relayed that. And here's our first bridge. So make our first crossing of the river here, and this is the only place I've used the iron girder for the bridge. Now the tree that needs to go. Wow. If you look, we're going to run all the way down along this river and connect into the track that goes down to the smelter from the ironworks. So, and that little connection, we're using a switchback, so that should be interesting. I need to verify that I've got enough overrun track for the switchback. But I think I do. The way the switchback worked out, it actually the overrun track actually goes back across the river again. So it's the third bridge that I had to put in, and then there's actually a bridge down here that I put in, but I just couldn't work the alignment out. I haven't taken it out yet. But I think yeah. I saw it when I was coming up with Betsy to the coal mine, but I didn't stop and take it out. And I have cut quite a few trees down, as you can see, because for one thing, I wanted I wanted you to be able to see the river as we came down. Well, this is nice track. This is nice down through here. Now this little deal here, where I had to turn away from the river, this is to get an alignment because we have to switch back to the other side of the river now, where we switched over to this side because there was some steep terrain on the other side that I couldn't get around it without, going up and then back down. I didn't want to do that. So here was my preliminary where I was trying to get an alignment, because you see that stonework that stone right there. So past that was the first place that I could cross back. So I ended up having to swing way over here into the terrain to get an alignment to cross over the river. So here's our second bridge. So now we're back on the west bank of the river. And this is a really nice little curve on a trestle here. And again, I came back and relayed this trestle centered on the track after I was done. And once the track was all in and I was happy with the curves and everything. We need to throw some firewood in? Anything?
That might help.
Well, feel free. I'm obviously just a rider instead of a fireman. I ought to be firing for you, but anyway. I want to kind of get a view of the track work down through here. Now, if you look over on the right bank there, you'll see some trestle work, and that was an alignment that I was working. At one point, I was going to follow that right bank on down. So anyway, that just needs to be deleted. But yeah, I used trestle just to figure out grades. The grades were kind of tough. You see the grass right here? So I worked the grade so that I hit this high point just right. And now we're starting down because we've got to meet up with the track that's climbing up from the iron mine track. So we're coming down and we want to meet up with that track. So basically, as we come out of this curve, we should start seeing the track coming up from the ironworks track. So
Yep.
the iron mine track. So you see that track's lower, and this is exactly how switchbacks work. See, and then basically the switch down here is on the flat. It's already set for you, AC.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Nope.
Oh, how did that happen? I'll get it. I thought for sure I had everything set to. Oh, I set it to come up for the first time. And then I changed the plan. That's what happens when you change the plan. The only thing that's a little screwy about this is by the time I got these met up and we had this flat here, the ground behind me for the overrun we were a little bit, when I originally calculated it, it was perfect. I was hitting exactly on the top of that overrun. But the way that Oh, yep. We don't have to run the whole train back there. Well, why don't you run on back there? Just run on back to end of track, and let's see. Let me verify that I didn't run track all the way. Yep.
And
Okay. Well, run on back because I'm gonna have to run track because when we come up here with the train, we're gonna have an overrun. Yeah. So you see that little hump there, but anyway, that'll kind of once for purposes of operation, that little hump will kind of tell you how far back you're. Anyway, and I cleared trees so that the engineer can see behind him because it's kind of important when you're pulling in with the train here. That's actually got some length to it. See, the normal operation, the train will be backing down this spur, just like the same orientation where AC is now with the Eureka there. And I turned this so I could get just a little bit of extra track in here. And I'm not going to get real crazy about getting this track perfectly aligned on the roadbed, but you know. Yeah. Okay, we're actually coming up the hill a little bit now. So that definitely ought to give us a little. Anyway, I'm going to put this is the way that I've come up with putting backstops on my track. This is the way I do it. I pull it until it's just before those three ties pop in, where it's got that wider board there. Anyway, need to cut a couple of trees here. And then we're good. Yep. I'll make sure the engineer can see the train. We are going to come up here with a cordwood car as soon as we can get one loaded up. All right, so yeah, bring her on back. Let's see what this is like. Yeah, that little hill ought to help you realize you've hit the end of it, but I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to need all this track because certainly not going to run a train. I'm going to run about a 12-car train up here to start with. At some point, we may be running like 16, maybe 20 cars up here. That would be the absolute maximum. All right, well, did you throw the switch at the switchback?
yep,
Okay, well, let's take her down. Now, the switch on the other end of the switchback is not set.
gotcha.
It's against us, so we need to. Just remind me, I'll get it. Anyway, so, how are you doing, Pruto? We have a third person joining us today, but he's off running the log train right now, I believe. I hope.
Yeah, it's just about loaded.
All right, have you figured out my little marks? You just line them up right, but where you step off the engine, they just line up with that, and that gives you.
Yeah, when I got here, I was a little confused by them, but like once you just start doing it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it works fine.
Yeah, that's all based on operating by myself. So I just had to come up with some way to spot the cars. Anyway, if you look to the right, that is the main track going up to the iron mine. So this is kind of a scenic little deal here. Oh, now if you look at that track that's up on top of the falls, that was another. I ran trestles. I had 3 different possible ways to get down, and then when the idea of a switchback occurred to me, it really made it so much simpler to join up with this track. The problem is to get an approach to this track. This was really the best approach to this track, and of course I could have come straight into this approach, but I'd be headed in the wrong direction. So that's why I decided to do it as a switchback. So let me get down and run ahead and throw this switch. So yeah, I put this switch in today and figured out this switchback. I did a lot. I got up this morning really early. I've been working on this thing all day, trying to get it ready to show my loyal viewers who have yet to show up. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm back on board and we're good. Track is clear all the way down to the Summit River Smelter. This switch here was aligned with that temporary track there, but I had to move it to get the other switch in ahead of it. So, you know, switch has to be on this piece of straight track, so just had to do what I had to do. Yeah, so all the trains are already up at the, we've got a, the wood train is there at the sawmill ready to be loaded, I believe. And the cordwood train, the train that pulls the hoppers and the cordwood cars is up there as well, ready to go get some cordwood so we can stock up our firewood depots. So
Actually, that one is upside down.
well, we'll remedy that shortly. This crazy piece of trestle that you see here, that's marking the third way that I ran preliminary trestle to come down in here, and that pretty much decided, but it marks that pass through there. The only thing that I was thinking about, if I extend on down along the river, as far as taking beams up there, I may be able to take a track straight into the back of, since I'm that high, I may be able to take a track straight into the back of the sawmill and pick up beams for the coal mine, but I don't really think it's worth all that, so I doubt that I ever do that. But anyway, you see how high, if you come across the falls and come through, that's, I had that trestle coming down at the maximum grade that I was comfortable with, and it's still way off of meeting up with the tracks down here. So obviously the solution that I came up with was really the only viable one. And it, the higher that I could join up with the iron mine tracks, the let's see, I'm gonna need to throw this switch. So one of the things that I want to do today is, yeah, come on back, AC. We're gonna have to get a switch into this firewood depot. I believe I'm gonna have to move it down this way some more to have enough room to get a switch in there. So that's the plan, because we really need to get, this is our main servicing area, because at this point all the operations come through the Summit River Smelter. I can't
do we have any flat tires waiting here for the rails?
there's right. No, we don't. They're up top for wood right now. So that train, we'll bring that train down loaded with half loaded with beams, and then we'll load the other half with rail.
Right.
So, and I've got another one there, but that one I never even used that one to load firewood. So anyway, I just haven't decided exactly how I'm gonna get that switch worked in. Uh, but I don't know, sort of thinking about trying to put another switch here, but I really don't think there's room to do it. Maybe. Nah, I don't think there's room to do it. Anyway, all right, we need to throw this switch so we can go up, and we're ready to go up to the sawmill. All right. All right, well, we're good. Come on forward and pick me up.